Hi everyone and welcome to Paisa Vasool. I'm your host Shravan. We've got Taran here with us.
Hello.
So this is our first ever episode. So if you're a listener of the Cognitive Recalibration podcast, you'll know us from there. So we've done over 100, almost 200 episodes on cognitive recalibration where we talk about movies, TV shows, sometimes video games, but they were all focused on mostly Hollywood-based films and English-based TV shows as well. But we thought we'd start a new podcast, which is this one, to talk about movies from our heritage. So we're going to be talking about primarily movies from India and primarily movies from our mother tongue, Telugu. But we'll talk about other films in other Indian languages as well. So we've been planning to do this podcast for a very, very long time. So we've finally done it. First, we were going to just do it as an audio podcast, but now we're here on video. And we were looking for a suitable movie to start on as well. So we wanted to start with a bang in some way. And we thought, we delayed it quite a bit. We first thought RRR, but, time passed after that. And then we thought, a couple of other things, but here we are, and we're going to be talking about Salaar as our very first review on the podcast, starring rebel star Prabhas, and directed by Prashant Neel after his success with the KGF franchise. So we'll get into our thoughts on it. So if you haven't listened to Cognitive Recalibration before, the way we do these podcasts is we do non-spoilers first. So if you haven't seen Salaar, you can keep listening. But then we will do spoilers later on, and there is definitely some spoilers that definitely I want to discuss about this movie because it is a part one, obviously. So there's going to be a part two coming up soon. So we'll definitely go through all the theories and all the questions, unanswered questions that Prashant Neel has left us with after part one. How do you feel about? Are you excited to start this new?
No.
No, okay.
Nah. This is my normal level of excitement.
I see.
For everything, so.
Everything.
Yeah.
But are you excited to talk about Salaar?
Maybe.
The most violent man?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Is that what?
That was the initial.
Is that the tagline?
That was the initial tagline. It's like the most violent people call him the most violent man or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. They changed it though.
I don't think there is a tagline.
Oh, Ceasefire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in that was like, I don't think it was part of the title.
Okay.
It was just like a tagline. But yeah, now it's part one, Ceasefire. Yeah. Do you think Rebel Star was rebellious in this one? Because I thought it was pretty rebellious. He was doing all kinds of stuff.
I guess, do you count killing people as rebellious?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well,
it's quite rebellious then.
They kind of like telling him not to do it, and then he does it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He does. Yeah. And they can't stop him.
Yeah, once he starts, he can't.
Once he starts, he can't stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So, non-spoilers. I've kind of gone through high level. So, obviously directed by Prashant Neel, but it also stars. I think the other main character is Prithviraj Sukumaran of the
bit of a pan-India affair. This one. It
is. Yeah. Well, he's from the Malayalam industry. Obviously, Prabhas is from Telugu, but he's like pretty big across India. It's got Shruti Hassan she's in it, but I would say she's in a minor role. But apart from that, we've got Jagapati Babu as well.
Yep.
Also in a minor. I think it will be more in part two. He'll probably feature a bit more. The surprise for me was Shreya Reddy.
Oh yeah, she plays. I don't know who she is.
Yeah,
I've seen her before. Yeah,
she was like a heroine before, probably 20 years ago almost. But yeah, I think she's making a bit of a comeback. She's also in OG with Pawan Kalyan, apparently. But she was a surprise in this one because she plays a pretty important role in this one.
The villain from KGF 1 is in this. I don't know his name.
He's Garuda in KGF 1.
Yeah.
I'll get his actual name. But he plays another role. There's a lot of characters in this. It's a pretty big world that he sets up. So if you've seen the trailer, there's a fictional place called Khansar which is kind of like this technologically advanced yet tribal. What is it like? It's not part of India, right? It's like
yeah,
it's not a country either. It's just like it's part of the world.
I think he's kind of. I wouldn't say the movie's completely original. It's definitely derivative of a lot of the other stuff.
It's inspired. And another thing, I don't know if you know this, but before he made KGF 1 and 2, he made a movie called Ugram.
Yeah, which is apparently similar to this.
Which apparently it's exactly like this, but without the Khansar stuff.
Yeah.
But the underlying storyline with the friendship and stuff, it's the same.
Mm.
And then I think he did confirm that it's like a high budget remake of Ugram. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's got more elements to it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely derivative of a lot of other stuff as well. I would say it's got
KGF
Black
stuff.
Panther.
Yeah.
It's got KGF.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of like Game of Thrones kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Some political intrigue stuff. Yeah. It's got a bit of everything.
It looks a lot like KGF. Like you'd if you look at scenes from this and that, you would think they're the same movie.
Yes, yeah. So it's the cinematography is done by Bhuvan Gowda, who also was a cinematographer for KGF 1 and 2.
Apparently, Prashant Neel likes his movies to look really washed out. But he said he has like OCD or something, and he doesn't like it when there's too much color.
And I heard they use like some sort of new lens, or it's not new. They've used like other movies have used it, but they used a lens that makes it darker than usual. And apparently, used Christopher Nolan used that in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah. It's very void of color. This world, everything's like grey or. It is. Except for blood, yeah.
Except, like, I think there's certain colors that pop, and maybe it's intentional. That is, I think red certainly pops in this world. So I think it is an intentional. And apparently, sometimes he doesn't even use like studio lighting. He just uses fire as lights. So in KGF, he did that a lot. Apparently, a lot of the scenes were lit up by fire, not by lights. So you'll see partially lit shots and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really see much vibrant colors though.
Yeah.
I think the primary color is like grey. And then there's red. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very like dusty as well.
Yeah, yep.
Like a part of this story is set in like a coal mining town, and that part is dusty. And then obviously KGF, it's in a gold mine, so that's all dusty as well.
It definitely looks and feels like KGF.
Yes.
And you can tell he's got I think some directors don't have a directing style, but he definitely has a style.
Yeah, and he's also got like this way he edits the shots as well.
Yeah.
Or just the movie. It feels like it's all a montage almost. Like it cuts between like...
It's like a huge trailer.
Yeah, like there's 4 or 5 scenes happening at the same time, and he like cuts between all of them. So they're all happening in parallel almost. But yeah, like sometimes it gets confusing. He does it a lot more, I think, in KGF, but he does it in this as well.
I think his directing style has been streamlined a little bit more for this.
Yeah.
Whereas in KGF, I thought it was a bit jarring in terms of when that movie starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they introduced like 25 people in the first 5 minutes of that movie. Yeah.
And he does lots of quick cuts, like cut from this to this to this.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you can't really follow what's happening.
Yeah.
More so in KGF than this.
Yeah.
But I can see if you've never seen KGF and you come to this, you could probably find it quite jarring as well.
Well, music, we should talk about the music because it's the same music director as KGF, Ravi Basrur. I think he's become much more famous after KGF, but he's done a lot of other movies apart from Prashant Neel's ones. But I thought the music in this was good. I remember like walking out, I thought it was about as good as KGF, but I remember that the theme for KGF was really good.
Does he do the background score for this as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the background score is continuous, I would say. Like it's good. Like there are high points and stuff, but there's a lot of music in this movie. Like there's always something happening.
Music. Yeah. I think it's the same in KGF. There's always background music for the whole movie.
Yeah. There was one part, though, where there was no music, and I thought that was effective, and we can talk about it in spoilers. But yeah, there's a lot of loud music throughout. It wasn't. I've had this issue with some Indian movies where it's so loud in the cinema because just the volume is too loud. But I thought in this one maybe they turned it down for us in this cinema, but it wasn't that loud.
Yeah. I think it was a decent. It definitely wasn't too loud. Yeah.
The bad guy from KGF, his name is Ramachandra Raju.
Okay.
Ramachandra Raju.
Our cousin told us this, but apparently that guy is Yash's bodyguard in real life. Yeah.
Completely unvalidated, so it could be wrong. But, apparently he's also Yash's bodyguard, but he acts in movies now.
Yes. Yeah.
So he plays a smaller, I think Prabhas is in most of, he's the main character, but and then after that it's probably Prithviraj. He gets second most screen time, and then everyone else is secondary after that. Yeah. What do you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. But I would say it's not for everyone, this movie, and I'm not sure on rewatch how it would work. But for the first time I watched it, I really quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. I also quite enjoyed it. We've only seen it once, but I had a good time when we watched it. I think you will have an enhanced experience if you do watch it in a crowded theatre with some fans. There's a lot of fan-worthy moments. I guess that's what Prashant Neel does, is he builds up the expectation, the anticipation, and then he gives you a payoff. So he does that 4 or 5 or probably more times than this, quite a few times. But I thought it was a bit more in KGF 1, he does it well, and there's an emotional payoff, and I think in this he does it well with an emotional payoff. So he gets you emotionally invested, I guess, before an action sequence or a fight sequence or something. Our hero does something. So he gets the audience on board. I think in KGF 2, there was moments where there was 5 or 6 scenes back to back where they were just talking about Rocky and how awesome he is. We've seen a whole movie and we get it. Yeah. He's awesome.
They do a lot of that in this as well. Well, yeah. I guess it's just a lot of this guy's don't let him fight you, and otherwise he's
dangerous.
Yeah, he's dangerous. Yeah.
And then when he does fight, he's dangerous. So it makes sense.
But I guess there's a lot of build up and hype, and kind of moments where they expect the audience to cheer. And if you're not into that, you'll probably hate this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, positives wise, I think, the world building was really good. It all comes in second half mostly, but the Khansar stuff was really good. And all the characters that he has within Khansar, they're it would be very easy to have like characters that kind of all blend into one, but they all kind of have their own characteristics. There's like 3 tribes. I've actually got have you seen the family tree?
Yeah.
Someone's done a family tree. We can go through it in spoilers, but there's 3 main tribes, and then each tribe has their own kind of clothing style and characteristics as well, and their own rituals and stuff. And then the characters themselves have their own motivations and all of that. So he's done all of that really well. I thought Prabhas was actually, I mean, not actually, he's usually pretty good, but he's in a movie that actually uses him properly. So
he doesn't need to talk too much in this movie, which I think he kind of excels when he's not trying to do too much dialogue. And
some people say that they didn't like that, they wanted him to be. He's an introverted character, so he doesn't really say that much. Most of his action is through his body, and most of the time he's just standing there. He's not even doing anything. And people were expecting him to be like Yash from KGF and be all snarky and stuff.
I don't think he excels at that most of the time.
Yeah,
I think the movies that he does that in, it kind of comes off pretty cringe.
Yeah. So he's a different kind of character. So I think people really enjoyed KGF because I think Yash would just always have like some comments and stuff. Like he was much more extroverted character than Prabhas is in this one. But I think the action pays off better in this one than in KGF.
Once again, it's hyper realistic action that
The
if you don't like that, then
the fights themselves are not like, they're not amazing. Like we've probably seen fights like this before.
Yeah.
So like the choreography wise and all of that, it's not like, something you've never seen or anything like that. I think it's more their anticipation.
Yeah.
And
which I wonder if that, like on rewatch, it's just not
because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's 4 main action sequences, that I sort of identified in the movie, and I think one of them stands out the most, but the other ones are okay as well. So negatives-wise, I thought the first half was entertaining while we were watching it, but I can definitely see on a second watch that the first half would not be
drag a little bit more.
Yeah.
The first half very much is all anticipation.
Yes, and it's also like a separate story. Like it's not the main. It's linked to the main plot, but it's not the main plot. You only get introduced to the main plot at the intermission period, and it revolves around Shruti Hassan's character, which they could have written it so she's not even in the movie technically. But I think there's something in this. There's probably something important that they haven't revealed yet with her father's character, which is why she gets involved in the movie.
And also, I think he really likes that storytelling trope of someone retelling a story to someone, which he does in KGF. So, so like
she's
the character that gets told the story. Yeah,
she's like the audience perspective for the movie.
Like very similar vibes to KGF once again, where there's the whole second half is someone telling her the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think of her accent?
Wasn't bad, actually.
Apparently some people really hate it.
I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
Like compared to stuff we've seen previously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's doing like a American accent.
Yeah.
And I think even her, like, I'm pretty sure she spoke in Telugu as well. So like her Telugu sounds like someone who would have been brought up in America and then speaking Telugu. So she doesn't talk that much, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
I've seen, like, there's this Ram Charan movie called Govindudu Andari Varele, where he is from America and he does an American accent.
From America.
Yeah, he does an American accent in that. One of the worst fucking accents ever. Like, terrible. Compared to that, this is like Oscar worthy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
She's also not, featured, especially in the second half. She's not in it as much. And the other negative, it's not really as much of a negative, but I think they do fly past a lot of the world building. Like they do it in a block of about 10 to 15 minutes. It's probably a bit overwhelming for most people.
So in KGF, he does that in the first 10 minutes of that movie, which is definitely overwhelming. He does it in the second half. I think he gets you invested enough in the movie that once you get to that exposition, it's a lot of exposition that he just dumps it on you.
Also, the guy who is the narrator for this, I like his voice. He's got a nice voice.
He's got a good voice, yeah.
So like that deep, like usually a villain type voice, but it's nice.
I wouldn't say Prashant Neel is the best storyteller because he does need to do an exposition dump in all his movies.
But I guess like he wants to get through like 1,000 years worth of, he says
history. Yeah,
it's 1,000 years old, this Khansar place. So he's trying to get through a lot in a short span of time.
But I found the history is interesting enough and the story is interesting enough that it keeps you invested.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking though. It's not like when the twists and stuff came at the end, I wasn't like super shocked. I kind of expected most of it. Yeah. But it was still good. Yeah.
I expected there to be some twists, and the ones that came, it didn't completely surprise me, but I'm still interested to see what, like, it doesn't completely answer the questions that, I think it left actually more questions that came up.
I think that's another problem. Probably in the second half, they didn't get through enough story.
Yeah.
They had a lot of build up and then they kind of leave it hanging. So they could have done a little bit more in the second half.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I had a good time with it overall. I liked all the cast members. Prithviraj was also very good. He also dubbed in all the languages. So this is out in all the major, I think, Hindi, Telugu.
He's pretty good at Telugu.
Kannada, Malayalam.
Hindi.
I said Hindi.
Yeah.
Kannada.
Yeah.
So 5 languages.
Yeah, he's not bad at Telugu. I didn't know
apparently
that was
he learned
him.
it. Like he learned all these lines before coming to set in Telugu. But then Prashant Neel will change his dialogues.
Oh, really?
Like on the spot. Apparently he writes a lot of dialogues on the spot. So then he's like, I don't know the language. So he's like, he had to impromptu.
Yep.
But
we watched this in Telugu, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it in Telugu. But yeah, his Telugu was pretty good. Apparently he dubbed himself in all the languages.
Yeah.
I don't think Prabhas...
I don't think he knows Hindi that well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely wouldn't have done Tamil.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he knows Tamil because a lot of the Telugu actors were born
up in Chennai.
Yeah, so he probably knows Tamil. I'm not sure about it. And Kannada is pretty similar to Telugu, so you could probably... Like for RRR, Junyantar and Ramcharan did dub in every language except Malayalam.
Okay, yeah.
But NTR is really good at languages, apparently. Yeah. And his mum's Kannada, so he knows Kannada.
Sure.
So I'm not sure about Prabhas. But if you've seen it in any of the other languages, you can let us know if he did.
He doesn't have that many dialogues anyway, so it might not have been that hard.
You probably couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to come up with a rating system for this.
Better than The Flash.
It still applies here?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, better than The Flash. I guess so.
No, it's got to be better than some rubbish movie.
Better than Rebel.
Oh, that's everything in the world. That's everything that's ever been made before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than Rebel.
Yeah. No, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty decent. It's a 3-hour long movie, but it didn't feel like quick. That for me. Yeah.
Apparently we didn't notice this, but the first half is a lot shorter than the second half. The second half is longer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think the second half's more than like hour and 40 minutes or something. So it's a long portion of the movie.
Look, in the second half, I was totally invested and probably wanted a little bit more by the end of it. I wanted it to keep going, honestly. Yeah.
Well, some people were saying if they switched the storytelling around, so they did the second half, and the second half actually comes earlier in terms of the timeline of the movie. It comes first, so it's a flashback thing that they're doing. So if they just did it as a linear story rather than a flashback story, it might have worked out better, and the intermission would be the end, but it still wouldn't work because there's all this stuff that happens in between.
Yeah. And you said you liked the second half better than the first half anyway. So you want to end with the better part rather than start with the better part. I think you
could have also ended with the intermission because that's the actual conflict for the second part.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the actual... that's actually what's going to happen in the second part. But there's also stuff that happened in the past which they haven't covered yet either. So, yeah.
I think it's probably going to be a Bahubali in terms of the second part. The second movie is going to be first part flashback, second part back to the current timeline. Yeah.
There are some parallels with Bahubali as well in this. I guess we can go through it in spoilers.
It's definitely his best movie since
Bahubali.
I probably even like it more than Bahubali in some portions.
Have you watched Bahubali again?
No.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it again.
No.
When I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's really good. But I've never had the inkling to go watch it.
Go watch it again. I think the first one's better than the second one from memory.
The second one, the first half of the second one is really good. And the second half of the first
one's really good. Yeah.
I just found anything with the younger Bahubali wasn't as interesting.
So I haven't seen Radhesham, but I heard it's bad.
Yeah,
I've seen Sahur 3 times for some reason.
In 2 days?
Yep, and all 3 times it was very bad.
I've seen half of Sahur and I couldn't finish it. I haven't seen Radhesham. I haven't seen any of his other movies.
I've seen 20 minutes of Adi Purush and it might be worse than Rebel.
Okay, maybe that should be our rating.
Yeah.
Is it better than Adi? Well, it's obviously better than Adi Purush.
Yeah.
Actually, a word on the box office for this movie. So it's got the biggest box office opening for any Indian film in this year. So in 2023, not ever.
Do you know what? I'm in this weird Facebook realm where I might have viewed some weird posts for a while, and now I'm like in this.
Is this related to this movie or
Yes,
just, okay.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's I'm in this like weird Bollywood South Indian film like war, and like one of the posts is like Salaar smashed donkey. SRK is Prabhas bitch or something like that. and then the next post is like SRK is king. Tollywood, it's like South Indian films are rubbish or something like this.
Okay.
And it's this endless war on my Facebook page with like Salaar's making up their collections, their numbers, and it's like Donkey's actually beating Salaar. It's like Salaar sucks. And then the next post is like Donkey shit. Salaar is king. I'm like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
And like, why do they have to hate on each other? Can't they both be good?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So this did release basically in conjunction with Shah Rukh Khan's Donkey.
So I don't know what the true numbers are because my Facebook is.
I think all of the Indian box office numbers you do have to take with a grain of salt. I think all of them are slightly potentially inflated, but it wouldn't surprise me if Salaar. I mean, based on the numbers that are reported, Salaar is making more than Donkey. But just based on the kind of movie Salaar is, I would expect sort of more people to be hyped and anticipated for it. Although, like, Donkey is a collaboration of two big director and a superstar. So yeah, we haven't seen Donkey, so I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. Yeah,
but box office wise, it's done. So budget was 270 Indian. So they reported in crore. I don't know this lakhs and crore stuff. I can never get my head around it. But essentially 270 Indian crore, which is equivalent to $33 million US.
That's not bad actually.
In terms of budget, yeah.
Oh, for budget. Okay.
So box office, it's done $80 million US.
Okay.
So far.
Oh, that's pretty decent.
Yeah. So 450 crore so far. And that leaves it, in terms of the box office for 2023 amongst Indian movies, it is currently at 8th. So the highest grossing movie so far in the year is Jawan, followed by Pathan.
Yeah. SRKs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both of them are over 1,000. But yeah, nowhere near the all-time records, which actually KGF Chapter 2 is in. I think KGF Chapter 2 is fourth highest ever worldwide. And then Bahubali is number 2. Bahubali Chapter 2 is number 2. Yeah.
Is it a Salman Khan movie that's number 1?
Number 1 is Amir Khan's Dangal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dangal, and then Bahubali 2, and then RRR, and then KGF.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So we'll have to see where this lands.
I think this is strongly affected by Prabhas doing 3 of probably the worst movies ever. Back to back coming into this.
Yeah.
And people have probably lost their will to watch his movies anymore.
Yeah.
And like some of the trailers for his previous movies look decent, and then they just ended up being shit.
They were just disastrous. I thought the trailers themselves, I just watched the trailers, I'm like, I don't need to watch
well,
this.
Adipurush trailers looked bad.
Yeah.
I don't know, Radhe Sharma and Saho, like the trailers looked as good as this movie, so
Yeah.
Like they could have been anything. But I think a lot of people that probably would have gone and watched this movie probably don't want to watch it just because of Prabhas.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of Prashant Neel and even Prithviraj, who's a big actor in Malayalam as well as like the whole cast. So I think it's more than, and it's not just like a movie on, like there's movies that are just around the star, like Radhe Shyam, for example. Like the whole selling factor was just Prabhas. I think this has more to it than that. Like it's got like the lore and the story and all of that. So it's not just like because he's in it, watch it.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I think he's meant to be like, my word on the street is he's a really nice guy, and he just helps out his friends. So like Saho and Radhesham, he agreed to those movies before Bahubali, and he did them anyway, which is fair enough. But I don't think the directors themselves were like the right people to direct him after.
Yeah, I think he's done 3 really bad movies with bad directors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about Adipurush. Like that sounds like it was just a bad decision. Yeah.
It probably sounded like a home run.
Yeah.
Like if you, but it's just poorly made.
Yeah. But I know Saho and Radhesham, I think he already accepted to do those, so he did them anyway. Yeah. Whereas this, I think he signed it after Bahubali.
Yeah. I think it's definitely harkens back to like his Chhatrapati kind of days. I would say that's his most, like the character is kind of quite similar to that kind of character. Yeah.
Except in that one, he does talk a bit more in that one. In this one, he talks less.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like when I saw his lineup, like because after Bahubali, they announced like 6 movies that he's going to do.
He's doing a lot of movies. Yeah.
Because he was doing Saho Radhesham and Adipurush and this. And,
all at the same and
Project K, and Kalki all together.
Yeah.
So I thought, out of all of them, the one that actually excited me the most was it's not this one actually.
Kalki,
It was probably Project K, which was what it was called at the time. But Kalki, was the one that I was actually a bit more excited about, and
that's got a better cast as well, like in terms of
high profile. Yeah,
like,
although this is like pretty.
This got a good cast, but like people know that cast better. Yeah.
Well, it's again a pan India kind of thing because it's got Kamal Hassan, Amitabh Bachchan, Deepika.
Yeah.
So, and that looks pretty good as well. So we'll see.
I think this will cater to a South Indian audience more, though. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised because KGF
kind of North Indian audiences like the South Indian movies now. Anyway,
KGF did really well in Hindi as well.
Yeah. So. It's more of a South Indian movie. Like when you watch Saho, that felt very North Indian in terms of what it is.
And Radhesham probably
I haven't seen it, but
that
possibly.
Looks a bit more like Bollywood inspired.
But this is very much a South Indian movie.
Yeah. And I think Adipurush was.
Adipurush was just whatever it was. It's nothing. It's not North Indian. It's not South Indian. It's just rubbish. Yeah.
Should we jump into spoilers?
Yeah.
All right. So we can talk about Khansar, I guess.
Yeah. So it's basically Wakanda. It's Wakanda, but Indian.
Yeah. So it's like this. It is technologically advanced, but like not to the. As in what we saw, it didn't seem to the level of like Wakanda, but it is like there are parts of it that are really nice as well. It looks like some European city, and then there's parts that
look like Mumbai.
Mumbai slums.
Yeah.
So it's got a bit of everything.
Yeah.
But they do set it up well that it's like this. The first mention of it is around this seal actually that comes up.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's just before the intermission, and you find out there's this seal. And it's all powerful, and you can like do whatever you pretty much want if you've got this seal of approval. So that was set up well. But then that was also like an elevation because they set it up so that they're like, oh, the seal can't do. You can't bypass the seal essentially, and then Prabhas obviously bypasses it at the intermission part. Yeah.
But apparently he's the one
that created it. Apparently, which we don't. Know that story yet.
There's a few questions that are brought up that you don't end up actually getting the answer to. Firstly, Prithviraj being his best friend, and then they have become enemies.
Yes, so we don't see why that has happened yet.
Yeah.
Although he's obviously banished for some reason. So there's a 7-year gap between the flashback and what's happening in the present time. So we don't know what happened to cause that for them to be on the run. Yeah.
And he's also on like a violence hiatus from his mum.
So his mum, like, she's haunted by something because like every time she sees him, she's like, he has to be home by 6 and like he can't do anything without her permission and stuff. And he's like, this guy's like mid-30s.
Overbearing. Probably 40. Yeah.
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 There's also like theories that she's not even his actual mom, which could be true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Possibly.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the end revelation is that he is, well, I guess if we go through the story a little bit, the first half story doesn't really matter. Like, nothing much happens there.
So
other than
Shruti Hassan comes to India, and the moment she comes, she gets kidnapped, I guess, because they're looking for her father, because her father did something.
But the revelation at the intermission is that they're actually not looking for her father, but they're looking for Prabhas.
Yeah. So they knew that if they found her, they're most likely going to find him.
Yeah. So then in the second half is when you get introduced to like all the Khansar.
Yeah, and Prithviraj only comes in at just before the intermission.
Just before the intermission, yeah. And it looks like he's sitting on the throne at that point, yeah. So his grandfather was the original king of Khansar.
Yes.
And then the current king is Jagapati.
Raja Mannar.
Yeah, but he essentially isn't really in the movie because he...
Yeah, so he like goes off because there's something like, so he's never actually left the kingdom, and then for the first time he's leaving the kingdom
because
and then
he thinks there's like a threat to Khansar or something.
Threat, so obviously it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But then everything just goes down the moment he leaves. Like stuff just goes down.
Yeah.
But before he leaves, he does say that he wants Varda to be one of the lords.
So the family tree is his first wife. He had 2 kids.
Yeah. Rudra.
Yeah, so he's a lord.
And what's the daughter's name? Rama something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find the names.
Yeah. So and then she's a lord as well?
Yes. No, she isn't. So the lords are only men.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone on the council are just men, but she gets
put in charge when he leaves.
Yeah.
So he's and
then
her
name's Radha Rama Mannar. His first son is Rudra Mannar.
And then his second wife, he has 2 sons as well. The first being Prithviraj and the second being some other guy.
His name's Bachi Mannar. Yeah. So those 2 are the second wife's sons. So firstly, the first 2 children don't like the second 2.
Yeah.
So there's already that dynamic. But then the daughter also has a husband as well.
She does, yeah.
Which like
and he's a lord, yeah.
He's a lord, yeah. So he gets like the lord, I guess, in space of, if he had a son, it would have been the son. So, yeah.
Sexism. So
yeah,
I think that's the least of their worries.
Well, he does put her in charge, so obviously she has some power.
Yeah. And then there was 3 tribes, but Jagapati wipes out one of the tribes when he becomes king.
3 tribes are the Mannar tribe, which is the tribe that's currently...
And they all have like nose rings.
That's their characteristic. And then there's the Ganiyar tribe, who they have something as well, don't they? They've got like... Do they just have rings around their necks?
They've got like... Yeah, it's like... Yeah, I don't know how to explain. It's like rings around there.
Yeah.
Like 3 rings around their neck, yeah.
And then the other tribe, which Jagapati wipes out, is the Shoryanga tribe. And he wipes them out because they were next in line. So the first king of Khansar was Jagapati's dad.
Yeah, who was also Prithviraj.
Yes, Shiva Mannar.
Yeah.
But then once Shiva Mannar died, I think the next in line was someone from the Shoryanga tribe.
There's like a book of rules.
Yeah.
And apparently in those rules, it's written that after 40 years of rule, it moves to the next tribe.
Yeah, so next was Shoryanga.
Yeah.
And then after Shoryanga would have been the Ganiyar.
Jagapati gets angry and kills everyone.
He's like, he wants the throne, so he gets rid of... He basically gets his people to murder everyone in that tribe overnight.
Yeah.
But obviously some people... What you find out then in the movie is some people...
I knew some people would survive. And I had an inkling that Probhas would be one
of them.
Yeah.
Do you think he knows that he's one of them?
Yes, he knows he's one of them because at the end he does the dance he does the
sword salute.
there's
thing.
like a sword salute thing that the tribe does, and it looks like he's done it many times because they cut their back as they're doing it. So
Yes.
yeah,
So he knows.
but I don't know if he knows that he's the heir to the throne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, is he? Because I mean, he is, but his dad was the throne, right? So technically, it should have been after his dad. It would have been someone from the Ghaniya tribe.
No, that the tribe gets to rule for 40 years.
Ah, I see. Yeah. So his dad.
So
died,
if his dad died,
then it would have been him. Yeah. I see. There's also because in the flashback, like when they're kids, when Deva has to leave, Deva and his mum have to leave Khansar, and Varda sacrifices one of his.
Yeah, he sacrifices his territories.
Yeah, his territory. So there's also this thing around the territories and how they have these bands.
And like different territories carry different weight.
Yeah, so there's some territories that are bigger, and if the territory is bigger, then you get a bigger band as well.
Yeah.
So he sacrificed one of his like bigger bands to this guy.
Yeah. And then his son is a lord now.
And yes, his son's
and
a lord
then
now. Yeah.
The king essentially wants him to take the son. He wants him to step down and take Prithviraj to take his place as a lord.
Yeah, so this was one of the crazy lords.
Yeah, he's Najaranga. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a bit wacky. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, there's talk that when he's leaving that night, so that was obviously the night that they were wiping out all the Shoryangas.
Oh, do you think it's the same night? Does that line up timeline-wise?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Because they were born by then, right? He would have been born by then.
It was...
Because
1985, I think.
It was just before Jagpati was in power.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they say, like, this was your dad's orders to
kill them.
To kill them, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was the same night. But I also think that this Deva didn't know that his father, like, he probably didn't know his father. So I don't think he knew that his dad was in line. Or else why, like, he seems like he's much less wealthy, like compared to Varda.
Yeah.
Like when he's a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because if he was in the royal family, then why is he living like, in the outskirts and stuff? So I think there's something around his relationship with his father that he didn't know about, or like.
He definitely says at one point he's like working in like a mechanic shop, and he says, I can't come because my dad said I can't come.
Does he say his dad or his mum?
I can't remember.
I thought he said his mum.
Okay. Yeah.
Which would make sense because his mum doesn't let him do anything. But
yeah, but this is when he was young.
Yeah. Yeah, it flashes back when Varda goes to meet him in present time, right? Yeah. And they're both in mechanics. So was he always a mechanic? Like he likes to work with the tools?
I guess that's part of his character as well. He's like tech savvy. Yeah. And
but he's also like illiterate because he doesn't have a signature. Like when he signs
puts his hand,
unless that's how you sign in.
Yeah. I don't know. He never had to read anything, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's also I don't know if you realize, but throughout the first half, there's always subtle hints that he's like super strong.
Yeah.
Because they're like carrying. He's like carrying these parts back to his house, and he's got it on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he brings it in, and then you see someone else carrying it, and there's like 3 guys carrying the same part.
Yeah. And then there's a part where he holds the pole. When he holds the pole.
Yeah. When he holds the pole, and there's this other part where the kid's trying to open this drawer, and he can't open it because it's like really heavy, and then he just slams it shut. Yeah.
Well, that's his little box of guns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like hints throughout the whole thing that he's like superhumanly strong.
Yeah.
If you've never seen like South Indian and some North Indian movies as well, the heroes are always incredibly strong for
they're basically superheroes.
They're superheroes, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess maybe explains why we like superhero movies so much, because we kind of grew up on watching these movies, which are essentially superhero movies. But like they live in they're in this like alternate universe where like these people are essentially superhumans. So you can't think of it like
it's not realistic.
Don't look for realism in these movies.
It's hyper realism.
Yeah. So that's But yeah, there are hints that and then like that first fight scene when he does his mum gives him permission to fight.
Yeah.
You do see that he's superhuman essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good fight sequence. Like,
Yeah, so there's 4 fight sequences overall. So there's the that one is the first one. So the coal mine fight scene. Then there's an interval fight scene. Then there's the I think they call it the Kateramma fight scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in a small village. Yeah.
Yes, and then there is the climax fight scene. So I thought the Kateramma fight scene was the best one.
Yeah.
It's also the most violent one. I think they progressively get violent
The last one is quite violent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they progressively get more violent, but I thought that one was the most emotionally fueled fight scene.
Mm.
I think it was Kiravani said this once, where he's like, the difference between Rajamouli and other directors is he gives you a reason or gives the hero a reason to fight, whereas like some movies, like they just fight, like you need a fight, so you like just put in a fight, but there's a reason. So I think Prashant Neel does something similar in this, where
I think the fight has to have a weight to it as well with the hits.
Yeah.
It needs to feel like it's not the best choreography or anything like that, but it feels real in terms, not real, but like it's visceral in terms of the action. Yeah.
I do like a couple of the shots in that fight sequence. So firstly, the shot of just the shadow. He's just standing there, and like you see him like with his arms curled, like with everyone, but then you see his arms come down in the shadow.
Yeah.
That was good. And then the scene where they're like, "Oh, we asked for the goddess to come down," and then instead we got her son, and then you see like all the swords behind him.
It's a cool shot. It doesn't really make sense, but it's a cool shot.
A couple of shots were good. I thought the cinematography was overall really good. Also in that scene, you see, we did say the movie is devoid of color, but you do get like the people that live in this area, all the women that live in this area, they
wear red. Yeah.
Red, yeah. And then it's as Prabhas is like massacring all the goons, it gets more and more red. Like more of them start coming out, and he's getting bloodier as well.
Red as well. Yeah.
So it was kind of a good setup overall. But yeah, I thought that was a good scene. But the zombie, like they had these like zombie guys that are like fueled on drugs.
Yeah.
That was
okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Prashant Neel had an idea like, oh, let's do something with zombies. Like,
I think he just wanted like a huge bunch of people to massacre as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think the visual part of that with all the blood on Prabhas in that final fight scene's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. And he like has time to get a tattoo as well.
Yeah.
In between.
Apparently that's directly from Ugram.
Oh, the tattoo bit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
Like the line where he's like, when she's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Draw what you see in my eyes." I think that's from Ugram. Yeah.
Yeah. Other questions so we've talked about Shruti Hassan's dad and what's the deal with him?
Prithviraj is why he hates. Well, what was the falling out? What happened?
Yeah, what happened? Because we don't even see this guy. He doesn't really feature that much in the flashback. So,
Prithvi?
No, Shruti Hassan's dad.
Oh, Shruti Hassan's dad. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, like, what's the deal with him?
Yeah.
So Varday's on the throne in the intermission. So we obviously know kind of what happens. And then we've talked about the Shoryanga. So the part 2 is called Shoryanga Parvam. Shoryanga Parvam. Parvam means
honor. Is that what it?
Festival.
Oh, okay.
Or like
so it's not
feast?
Paravu. It's yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happened in the second one. I was going to say I think Prashant Neel may have given us a hint as to how this whole thing may end, because there was like a quote on the blackboard in the school that his mum writes.
What is it?
Something around like wars are not won by fighting, they're won through forgiveness or something like that. So I think that might be a hint as to
Prithvi and I can't see just the relationship that they set up between Prabhas and Prithviraj. I can't see Prabhas killing Prithviraj.
No.
Like, I don't think he would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think Prabhas wants to be on the throne anyway.
Yeah.
So I can see like that he wouldn't become the king anyway.
Yeah.
Part 2 apparently is not going to be filmed yet. So apparently Prashant Neel said that he's going to do the movie that he has with Junior NTR first.
Okay. Yeah.
And then do part 2 after that.
Yeah. And everyone thought it was going to be a combined universe with this movie, Junior NTR, and KGF, but
I don't think it's combined with KGF. Like he said,
could be.
He
said it's not. Yeah,
he said it's not. Yeah,
it could be, but like to what end? Like, what would it achieve? Probably nothing. Yeah. Like KGF could exist in this universe.
It could, but also Rocky.
If you've seen KGF 2, he dies at the end of KGF 2.
So he's not around anyway. So you couldn't really do that.
So is he going to do Salaar Part 2 before KGF 3? Or is he going to do KGF 3 first?
I think that depends on Prabhas's availability as well.
Okay.
So, like, in the next year, I don't think Prabhas will be
Prabhas
free.
is doing a movie with Sandeep Vanga Reddy
as well.
Who's the guy that directed Animal.
Yeah.
With Ranbir Kapoor. And then
he's also doing another one, Raja Deluxe or something.
Yes, which I don't know who the director of that is.
Yeah. Maruti is the director.
Oh, so that's like a Pakka Telugu film. Yeah.
So that's more like a rom-com. And then he's got Kalki, which was going to come out next year.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll be free till 2025. And then they said they're going to start the Junior NTR one next year.
Yeah, so Junior NTR is doing a movie with
Prashant Neel.
No, with
that other guy. Yeah,
but guy.
Apparently
that's also 2 parts.
That's Koratala Siva. Apparently that's 2 parts as well.
Yeah, Devara. Yeah.
So maybe, depends how all the timelines work out. But I don't think we'll see this in another 2 years. I think it's going to take a bit of time before it comes out.
The only thing is it could lose steam if they take too much time. And people forget the first one
But I could see them doing like other stuff in this world without Prabhas in it as well.
Yeah.
Like they could do the 1,000-year history stuff as a separate thing, if they wanted to as well. But they also need to get Prithviraj as well. So I think like getting all these actors together will take
it's a difficult task.
Yeah.
But he's left it very like it's definitely kind of like a clickbait ending where you want to see more. And I would say it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's more so a cliffhanger than KGF 1 was. KGF 1 had kind of a definitive ending and you could just finish it there, but they kept going. But this one definitely need more information.
That's right. Yeah. But I thought it was good. I
did as well.
With it. So next we're going to be talking about KGF actually. So by the time this episode comes out, you will have 2 other episodes. So one will be the KGF Chapter 1 and 2 review, which we were going to do before this, but we will end up watching this anyway. So we'll do it after this. And then in anticipation for some of the Sankranti releases, we'll probably do one other episode, which will be out at the same time. Anything else on Salaar?
No.
So,
but I do think we enjoyed it, but I think it's
not for everyone.
Yeah, it is catered for us. Yeah. If you're
I think you also need to like Prabhas. I think a lot of it is around like, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan of him, but I do like him as an actor. So it was good to see him on screen in a way that you'd like to see him. But if you like haven't seen him before or you don't really know him, then I guess it might be a bit like jarring.
A bit extra as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like very much heart-filled moments where that's kind of what the film runs on. So if you're not on board with that, then you're not going to like it.
Yeah. But I did like how he looked in this. It's probably the best he's looked in a little while. Okay, if people want to get in touch with us, and tell us about their thoughts on Salaar. We don't have a separate email or anything for this, but I guess we'll use the cognitive recalibration ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same social media platforms as well for
Yes.
cognitive recalibration.
Yeah, so cognitive recalibration podcast at gmail.com, and then we're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. TikTok's not in India, but you will find us on Instagram. Cool. And if you want to support this podcast, obviously give us a like and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, or a review on iTunes and Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube. And that will make us more discoverable on the audio stream channels. And then subscribing will obviously help us on the video side of things. Great. I'm excited that we've started this after a long time, but we're definitely going to have... We're not going to review like every new movie. We're going to be a bit more selective about what we do for this. But
yeah, there's not movies that come out every week as well. So
yeah. So I think we'll focus more on, we'll do more vintage type older movie reviews, and we will do the odd new one here and there. But if you have any suggestions or recommendations, or you want us to review anything in particular, definitely let us know in the comments. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Hope you had a good time. This first episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do a lot more of these. Hope you're all staying safe, and we'll see you for KGF 1 and 2.
See ya.
See ya.